Hello and welcome to a very special, well, aren't they all special, but even more special than usual episode of Not Without My Sister, a podcast presented by me, Rosemary McCabe, and my sister, Beatrice McCabe. Hi, Beatrice.
Hi, Rosemary.
This is what other podcasts would call a mailbag episode, but I was thinking about it earlier and going, we can't actually call it a mailbag episode because mailbag episodes are usually unsolicited. You know, like they'll go, well, we've got so many messages about this, whereas we don't really get messages. I just ask people to ask us questions. So it's a Q&A episode. I ask people for Qs. They sent us a lot. I'm being a little bit selective because there are some of them that I just feel like one person asked, what do you think about Brazilians immigrating to Ireland? And I just don't think that's in our wheelhouse.
I'll tell you what I think. I think great. I hope they enjoy themselves in Ireland. And I think I'd love to see more Brazilians in Ireland because I actually love Brazilian steakhouses.
I mean, I think great as well, but I just don't have any strong opinions about it.
I'd also say, not to be too specific, Brazilians are also extremely good looking. Sorry to cut you off there. So they'd be, that'd be a great addition to the gender pool.
A friend of mine has dated several very good looking Brazilian men who she said were very generous in the laba.
I mean, Rosemary. And, well, thank you for bringing the tone down immediately. And look at Gisele Bunken. She's Brazilian. Very good looking.
Okay, but I mean, we're not really saying only come if you're gorgeous.
No, but we're saying that's a plus. That's good. I'm glad if you're gorgeous. And great chefs.
Listen,
very happy-go-lucky.
As I was planning this, I was like, this episode's going to be so straightforward. It's going to be very short. Clearly not.
What do you think they meant by that question? What do we think about Brazilians immigrating to Ireland? Oh, maybe it's more about what challenges would Brazilians have coming to Ireland? Well, listen, the weather's not all you're going to be expecting. It's not all it's cracked up to be. The sea is cold if you're going to go and swim in it. Not that all Brazilians live by the sea, but still.
Okay.
Oh, and if you want to be a teacher, you need to learn Irish, or anybody in the civil service. Is that right?
No, you don't need Irish for the civil service anymore, don't you?
Yeah, you need to be a policeman. You need to pass the Irish test. So that's a challenge.
A policeman?
Oh, good point. A police person.
A member of a Garda Síochána.
A member. Thank you.
Okay. Back to the questions that are actually about us. I was going to read out the names, but they're Instagram names, so some of them are stupid, and I'm like, there's no point in reading out
Some of them are stupid. You are in just top form today. Listen, lads, your Instagram handles are not stupid.
Okay, but I'm not reading out from Diddly Dong 24.
Why not?
You know what I mean?
No, just read it out.
Oh, okay. Magoo 340 wants to know. I know this isn't practical, but how would your partners adapt to a move and life in Ireland?
Oh, geez, Don thinks he would love it. He wants to move tomorrow.
Do you think that's just because of the avoca mushroom soup, though?
He does love avoca mushroom soup. No, he loves... Well, actually, recently he told me that my body physiology has changed entirely and now I only like hot weather. So that might be a bit of a downer. Because he's from Florida and he always hated the heat. And then we moved here and now he's decided he hates the cold, right? So yesterday we were out and it was a warm day, right?
I can foresee this being a problem for his move to Ireland.
I agree, but... I think he would love it. He loves hanging out in people's houses. He loves going to visit the family members. He loves playing. True. He loves playing the guitar, as can be, or any musical instrument. So a good old bit of musical get together, would be right up his alley.
My nightmare.
Oh, he'd love it. He'd absolutely love it. Or I call it a sing song. He would call it a jam session.
Don's over and his little friends having a sing-song.
Actually, I think I'm going to call it that just out of spite.
I don't know. I mean, thinking about it from Brandon's point of view, it would never happen because he has two kids that he shares custody of here in Indiana, right?
Never say never, Rosemary. What happens when they grow older?
Oh, well, yeah, good point. But not for the foreseeable future. But... I think I've really put him off Ireland.
Why?
Well, because I'm always talking about how just like giving out about how much he has the heat on. And then at Easter, I was telling him how we only got one egg, and that was after 40 days of deprivation in Lent. And, like, Americans don't know what it's like.
Excuse me. You only got one egg. Do you mean you only got one type of egg? Because you got about 40 eggs, 40 of those eggs.
No, I would get an egg from the family, and then maybe like an egg from someone else. Get 2 eggs.
Oh, let me actually text Mom right now. How many Easter eggs did Rosemary used to get? Hold on. Okay, we'll come back to this later.
My God, I can't wait. But also I keep giving out about, like, I mean, obviously I'm always giving out, but like how sweet things are here. So he has this impression now that Irish food is really bland, and like we don't really like to use sugar and all these other stupid things that are not necessarily true, but I can see where he got this impression entirely from me. So he's not hugely enthusiastic about going to Ireland, but I think he would like it. I mean, similarly, Brandon's very sociable and loves like just hanging out with people all the time. So I think he would like that aspect of kind of friendliness and of like everybody knowing everybody and get-togethers and stuff. I don't think he would like the weather. I don't think he'd like having to drive a normal car, but like he wouldn't have to drive a normal car. He'd just insist on getting a massive car.
But like the weather is not, I mean, the weather is better in aspects than Fort Wayne, right? Like it's never as severe. So it's more from Don's
but I
perspective.
think just the rain.
Yeah. Well, from Don's perspective, it was more that it was very windy. Like Don being from Florida, is used to warm weather. So that's more what I think about. But like, I think moving from Fort Wayne to Ireland would not be, it's more like you're in the middle. It's never really great, which it is in Fort Wayne in the summer, but it's also never really terrible, which it is in Fort Wayne in the winter.
No, but I think Brandon likes the snow.
Oh, Jesus.
I think he kind of likes having seasons. So I think
he likes the manliness of shoveling the snow, no doubt.
Oh my God, he hates shoveling the snow. Okay.
Oh, does he? Wait, I'd say he'd also like, all jokes aside, I'd say he'd love all the really good food brunch spots, even though he thinks that like the food would be bland. It isn't. I bet you he'd love all your favourite foodie spots in town.
I'd say he would, but I'd say he would complain incessantly about the price.
I'd say he'd also complain about the size of the portions, which you get very used to here,
actually.
like how absolutely massive they are.
Yeah, which he doesn't think, he just thinks they're normal.
Oh yeah, I know.
Gross. Okay. On a kind of related note, somebody's asking. Oh, sorry.
Who's that?
Okay, sorry. On a kind of related note, Rosie.Kings wants to know about raising kids abroad, which is going to be more for you than me. Her husband wants to move to Oz, and they've 4 small children, and she's scared about having no help.
Oh, I would say that is a big deal, right? In terms of like, I've never had help, so I've never had help. My parents come over on a regular basis and stay for 3 months at a time. But what I mean is I've never raised them in Ireland. Like, so I've never not raised them abroad. So I have no basis for comparison. But, especially this year, but I think everybody's going through it this year. So you probably can look at this year of the pandemic and say, this is what it would always be like. And are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Because there's
as in, like,
nobody's
can popping over to mind the kids while you go out for an hour. Yeah.
Nobody can babysit. When they're sick, you're all by yourself. When you have to travel and go to work, etc., nobody can pop over. And this is the first place we've lived where we actually have like proper friends. I think Dallas, we were there for too short of a time, and New York, we were only there for 3 years when we had babies, and kind of none of our friends had kids, so we were very much by ourselves again. Yeah. And we were also probably by ourselves, if you know what I mean. People didn't tend to come over as much or like hang out or help out because they just had no concept of what this world was. Like their highly social world continued, and you were just trapped in Brooklyn with your kids. Not in a negative way. Just, I think it's just harder when it's fine. When it's fine, as my mother would say. But when something goes wrong, or when you get sick, or when your partner gets sick, then it's really hard. Because sometimes I'm just like, I just would love somebody to come over on a Saturday for a cup of tea. I'd love somebody to just come over for a cup of coffee and have a chat and say, do you want to nip out to the shops and I'll mind the kids for 20 minutes,
Yeah. And or like, even when you guys were all sick last year, when you all had this terrible bug.
God.
And it was when we weren't, we were social distancing, weren't we? So I came over and I wore a mask, but you basically called me and were like, can you come over for a few hours? I can't get out of bed. Don can't get out of bed. The kids have all almost recovered.
Yeah,
so
everybody had projectile vomited like on
everywhere.
We had the worst stomach bug, and we went down like flies. One at a time.
And I honestly, as I walked through the door, I felt like, that scene in Little Women when Beth gets handed the baby and she's like, please, he's sick, help. And Beth's looking at the baby and can see her own mortality. I was literally going, oh my God, this is going to be me now.
And it was. You went home
48
and you got
hours
sick.
later. Yeah.
And then Brandon got sick, didn't he? Or did
Yeah,
he
but
not?
Brandon had very little sympathy for me or for himself, to be fair, because like he was up all night getting sick and then went to work the next day. But he not went to work. He worked from home because he was afraid he'd give it to someone else. But like he the whole time was like, you know, you're going to get sick. And I was like, yes, I do know. And you're going to have to be nice to me. And like, he was nice to me, but he was very like, well, I mean, it was inevitable. It could have murdered him.
But it was so nice of you. It was so nice. But I mean, Don had gotten sick first. And then I said, I'm not going to call Rosemary. And then eventually, like to your point, I couldn't move. I was just...
I know, I remember. You were like... You were like a wraith. You were like one of those dead kings from Lord of the Rings. You know the ones on the horses who were like chasing Frodo. That's what you were like in the bed. You were like, die.
Terrible.
I was desperate. I actually wasn't as bad as any of you. I feel like it kind of diluted as it got through people because like I wasn't as bad as you. Brandon wasn't as bad as me. And then our boys each puked maybe once or twice and then they were grand.
Oh, God. Well, anyway, you were the best. So, and then I've so been looking forward to having you here, not just to mind the kids, but also, and then the pandemic.
I know.
So we haven't even been able to see each other. But so all this to say that, I mean, I'm sure you'll be grand going to Australia with 4 kids. Genuinely. I'm sure you'll be fine. Would it be a bit of a shock to your system at the beginning? Yes. Will you be grand? Yes. Will people come and visit you? Yes. Probably fewer than you think, but depending on how beautiful the location of wherever you stay.
Yeah.
But you will be grand.
And also,
you've
at least
got
the kids
this,
will be
as they
outside
say
a
in
lot.
America. Yeah, you've got this. Right?
You've got this. Okay. Sarah_E2000 wants to know, what fashion items would you take from your house to save them from a fire?
Well, Sarah, I would probably take Rosemary's wedges from Rosemary's house just to prove to people how many of them she has.
I do not have any wedges anymore. This is like intense bullying now. This is like...
It's not bullying. I'm just joking. What would I save from a fire? What would you save from a fire, Rosemary? You go first.
I'm looking at my wardrobe now and I'm literally like, nothing.
I mean, probably all my lingerie, like it's really expensive and gorgeous.
Or, sorry, as Mum would say, your lingerie.
My lingerie, probably my lingerie. It all matches so well.
Okay, so right now, because I'm pregnant, actually no, I could be not pregnant. I would just save my muumuus. I have 3 nice monkey shirt dresses that are absolutely enormous that would fit me and my children. I could smuggle them out under these dresses, like, and save them from the fire under my dress.
I don't think she was asking what would you live in after the fire. She was saying, what would you save from a fire?
No, but what I'm saying is I love these dresses and the weather's getting warmer and I'm really looking forward to wearing them. I don't really have an attachment to my clothes though, like in that way. You know, like I get rid of things really, really easily and I don't have things that I've had for years. Like I don't have anything that I particularly adore.
Rosemary Kondo. Rosemary Kondo. That took me a while. Oh, listen, here's my answer. My handbags and my shoes. How many items am I allowed to take? What did Sarah say there?
Okay, how many hands do you have? There's a fire. A fire. And
fire?
You're grabbing...
I have a fire ladder that I could hook to my window and then I would pulley system these handbags up and down until the very last second, until my hairs on top of my head, even my bald patch, were singed by the flames. And I would feel the flames encroaching and I would say, not the Marnie handbag. And then I would, actually, do you know what? The problem would be half my handbags are down in the basement.
Sorry, Don would be outside the window going, Beatrice, jump, and you'd be going, not without my handbags.
Exactly. I'd be using that Marnie balloon handbag to helicopter down, to parachute down.
Think you'd need a bigger handbag.
That's extremely nasty. I also have, there'd be a problem because I'd load somewhere downstairs in the basement.
Yeah, so you'd have to, yeah.
I'd probably burn to death, Sarah.
You absolutely would. And loads of your vintage stuff would go up. Those little like lame threads would go up and like
kindling,
no
like
time.
Kindling. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Pamela_power81 says, would your parents move over to the States? The big question.
It is the big question. Mom, Dad, would you? Answers on a postcard, please. Because you're not on Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many different factors. You know, if we could get them legal passage to basically come over, because basically they could come over illegally and never go back to Ireland again, but they would never do that.
Okay, no, they could. Okay, we could get them a green card eventually. I'd have to become a citizen. We'd get them a green card. That's the path to getting them here. I think it's more that they think they would, blah blah blah, medical insurance, blah blah blah. But I think honestly they would miss their friends. I think they're very sociable. They have big social circles. Dad has a ton of hobbies. Yeah, they have a ton of hobbies. He builds planes, gyrocopters, trains,
automobiles.
And Mother knows every single person in the village. So I genuinely think I think that they would come and they would love to be with us, but they would also really miss their friends. And the other day, Mom said, and nearly brought a tear to my eye as I shared with you afterwards, she said, your father and I have, because I asked her this exact same question. I said, okay, has the pandemic taught you that you want to come and live with us? Because, would you want, I said, oh yeah, because all along, all these years, I was like, what would it take to move to America? Well, they said, totally thinking that they were calling my bluff. Well, they would say, if your sister would move over too, then we'd consider it. And now not only is she moved over, but she's in the same city. A city. She's in the
not
same
only have
city.
I moved over, but I'm married and up the duff, so I'm not coming back.
Oh, poor Mom and Dad. They have to listen to this. Be careful what you say. So anyway, so I said, okay, so now I said we're both here. Now what's the plan? When are you moving? They're like, oh, well, we don't know. We'll talk about it when we get there. Anyway, but I think that, I don't know. I don't think they'd love it really. But Mom did say, she said, we realised in this pandemic that even though we're on the phone to people all day long and we texting, you two, despite the fact that you're not here, what she actually said was, you two are the ones we talk to the most. And your sister, she cannot cook at all. Do you know that? She goes, she was on the phone to me yesterday asking about chicken with broccoli or chicken with almonds, the recipe. And Beatrice, I don't understand. She didn't even have one of the ingredients in her press. What was she thinking?
I kept texting her going like, oh, I just realised I don't have this. Can I use this instead? And you know what the worst thing was? I had almonds, but they weren't peeled. So there were these tiny little slivered almonds with peel on them. So I put them in thinking it'd be fine, but it wasn't fine because when like as it cooked, the peel all came off and then there were all these little bits of peel swimming at the top. It was horrific.
Did you eat it?
Wasn't nice. Yeah.
Update regarding the Easter eggs and Rosemary's consumption of them. I was about to say consummation of them. Consumption. No update. They're ignoring me because I'm not the favourite. So let's see if they reply by the end of the episode.
Okay. Ryan.Rosemary wants to know, do your partners get on well and would you continue to date someone if your sister didn't like them?
Yes, she would. Rosemary, did you put that in?
No. This is Ryan.Rosemary, not me.
I know. Is that a pen name, a nom de plume?
No. Yes, our partners get on well. They don't know each other as well as they kind of could after this amount of time because of the pandemic. So we haven't all been hanging out or seeing each other as much. But like when they've been together, yes, they've got on really well. Would you continue to date someone if your sister didn't like him? I have in the past.
Did it bother you? I don't even know who this person was.
You do.
I really liked Stephen.
It was not Stephen. It was Liam. No, it wasn't Liam. You loved Liam.
I loved Liam. I was devastated when he broke up with you.
You weapon. It was mutual. You know what? I think it would be much more difficult. I think when I was younger, and I think at the time you were living maybe in Milan, we didn't see each other as much. I didn't feel like we got on as well as we do now. So at the time, it seemed less important, if you know what I mean. Now I think if you didn't like someone, it would probably just make me not like them. The same way, if I buy something and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that, I can just never wear it again, but I just don't tell you. I'm annoyed.
That's not true.
That is true. I get absolutely put off things. You're like,
yes,
I'm not sure about that colour. And then I'm like putting it in the charity bag the next day. I'm very influenced by you.
Oh, that's adorable. Thanks. Good to know.
It's very annoying. Very annoying. How about you? Do you think you'd continue to date someone if your sister didn't like him?
Yeah, but I think I don't. It's very unenjoyable. Like, it's very stressful more than anything else. Not unenjoyable. I think it's very stressful.
Well, even if you feel like your friends don't like your partner, it gets so stressful and it really drives a wedge.
That's actually what I was thinking about in my head. I was thinking, which of my boyfriends have my friends not liked? The answer being many. And it makes it awkward because you're like, oh, you're kind of trying to avoid bringing them together, and then you're a little bit resentful, and you kind of get, you're very sensitive to each of them saying things about each other or the wrong thing in front of each other. It's just not exactly as enjoyable or relaxing.
Yeah, and you kind of end up not inviting one of them to as many things as you would, whether it's the friend or the boyfriend. You end up not including them as much, which is why basically I think if you don't like your friend's boyfriend, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, and you also, you have to keep it to yourself. And she also, and you also end up doing that thing where you stop confiding and you start pretending like everything's, not pretending like everything's fine, but you don't tell them stuff anymore, because then if you ever, like with your regular friends, you can be like, oh my God, X, not Don, X is so annoying today. Like he's driving me nuts and, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
In the knowledge that tomorrow they know everything is going to be fine again and they're not going to hold it against him, or against you. But when your friend doesn't like your partner, if you say that to them and they're obviously invested in the two of you breaking up or whatever, and they get enraged then and they're like super annoyed, and then they're annoyed with you for, not making a bigger deal out of it. And it's just like, oh, I can't. And
then you're annoyed at them for not supporting your decision to stay with this person, and it gets very, very complicated. So, yeah, I mean, sisters, I think it would be really hard for me to hide from you if I didn't like Don. Do you know what I mean? For example.
Oh my God. You couldn't keep a possible secret. You couldn't keep it secret for a second.
No, but what I mean is if it's just your friend, try and keep it a secret. If it's your sister, good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Trina_S_ wants to know, as sisters, you can't have always gotten on. What did you used to fight over?
My Barbie dream house. It's true, right?
You used to fight over? Well, it's because you didn't want me to play with you.
Yeah, it's because I would leave them in the most,
Mills and boom positions.
No, in the most, I would set up my Barbie house the way I wanted it, just the way I liked it.
You would curate your Barbie house.
Precisely. And then you would come along and play with it, as children do, and drive me into a rage.
I obviously don't remember that. I was too young.
What else? I'm actually wondering about this, because I think about my own kids and I'm constantly trying to get them engaged in the same hobbies. Today we're going to do X hobby and we're all going to do it together. I don't think you and I ever did things together, did we? Because I was always doing stuff at home and so were you, but it was sort of independent.
No, but I also don't think that was ever, I don't think Mom ever was like, girls, let's both do this. You know what I mean? She'd make Play-Doh and be like, Rosemary, play with your Play-Doh, and you'd be playing with your Barbies, or, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be like, I don't think she would be trying to make us play together.
No, but I don't mean more. I more mean that I had hobbies. Like I did a lot of arts and crafts. I don't remember you ever sitting down beside me and doing them with me, which like we were very independent in our house, weren't we? All my memories of growing up are me alone in my house with somebody else in another room.
Oh, and all my memories of growing up are me with Mom. Me just like hanging out of Mom's skirt, basically. I feel like that was all I did as a kid.
That actually makes so much sense. Mine are just isolated, solitary memories. Alone in the garden, alone in the sitting room, alone in the study.
I feel like as we got a little bit older, and I used to come and visit you in Milan and Paris and stuff, I feel like the fights we used to have were more that I just wasn't particularly sociable. Not sociable, but like I never really wanted to go out, and like I'd go and visit you and you'd be really excited for me to meet your friends and to go to like a bar that you really loved and to see this and to see that, and I'd just be like, oh, like, I'm really tired, I want to go home. You know what I mean? So I feel like that used to be a kind of a
I think at the time
contention.
I felt like you wanted everything on your own terms, but I suppose I did too. But it was more that you did all these things at home with your friends and you didn't want to do any of them then. Like you'd be like, oh, I went out and I had this and I went for drinks and I went to a restaurant, and I'd say, great, I have all these things planned. I don't want to do any of those. I just want to take a nap. And I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
And then we would have a row. And I suppose, to be fair, like your idea of your holiday was, I've just wrecked myself socializing at home. I think now that I know you better, it was like, I do those things, but actually really I just want to be on the couch watching Buffy.
Yeah, probably.
I thought you were going to take offense to that.
Well, I object to, it's always Buffy. I do watch other things other than Buffy, but
other things.
At that time I didn't. It was probably
some of which
Buffy.
We shall discuss in our next mini-sode.
Claire Hogan BL wants to know, what's the difference between American and Irish men? They've very different accents.
I don't think I've ever gone out with an Irishman. Yeah, so I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I've never had an Irish boyfriend.
Unpatriotic traitor.
I know, I always wanted to go with an Irishman because they have great sense of humour. GSOH, but I never, none of them ever fancied me.
Yeah, but you know what this is? Like, you have a great sense of humour, and I feel like Irish men will always want to be the funny one.
Thanks, that's really nice. But no.
No, I do think
No,
that's
Rosemary,
a part of it.
I just want to comment. I did read our reviews, and most of them are extremely positive, but I did screenshot one of them and send them to Rosemary this week because it said, Beatrice, it's a very entertaining podcast, even though Beatrice spends a lot of time laughing at her own jokes. And right now I'm starting to laugh again.
Sorry, I screenshot that and sent it to you.
I screenshot it and sent it to you. Irrelevant, doesn't matter. The point being that apparently I laugh at my own jokes. So I mean, I don't know if that makes
Irish
me
men
funny.
hate that. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Oh, but I'm saying that doesn't make me funny. That just makes me self-entertaining.
I know. I think you're funny.
Thanks, Rosemary. But I mean, even just now, that wasn't even a joke, and I started laughing at the end. It's a habit. I can't help it.
You can't self-entertain too much, though. You go blind.
I knew you were going to go there.
But hang on, what is the difference between American and Irish men?
I don't know. You're going to have to tell them. You're the expert. You've had all the Irish men, and I've had none.
I have had many Irish men.
Sorry, Mom.
And I've had one American man. And they went on a date with one other married American man. Oh, God.
That's a story for another time. Did we
great.
already tell that story?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
Not in all its gory
jeans.
detail, I don't think. Yeah. God, it's brilliant. And his Birkenstocks, his Jesus sandals. It's brilliant.
You know what? I feel like Irish men are very reluctant or unable to talk about their feelings. Basically. So even if they like you, and maybe this is just me being like, he definitely liked me, he just didn't know how to show it. But like, even if they like you, I think they're shit at showing it. Whereas I feel like I went on, like after my first date with Brandon, he texted me and was basically like, I had a wonderful time. And I don't think I've ever got a text like that from an Irish man. I think it would be like, thanks for the drink. You know, maybe we could do it again sometime, full stop. It wouldn't be like...
No.
You know
Rosemary,
what I mean?
It would be, can't wait to see you again. It's going to be so great. Want you to come over. Want to watch some TV shows with you, etc. And then pure ghosting.
Oh God, yeah. That guy, I mean, that was like, he texted me nonstop that night, telling me how great my podcast. Anyway, listen, let's not go over it again. Yeah, but I mean, I do feel like, oh yeah, you know what's the other thing? And this is kind of anecdotal because it's just from looking at people's Tinder profiles. But when I joined Tinder here, there were so many American men going like, you know when it goes, what are you looking for? In Ireland, 75% of them will say, looking for a partner in crime, my least favourite expression in the world, looking for a partner in crime, or like, just looking, you know, to meet someone fun. It's all so casual and so like non-committal. Heaven forbid you should say you're looking for a relationship. Over here...
Window shopping.
Yeah, over here, I think 90% of the profiles I saw said looking for a relationship.
But most of them, as it turns out...
ever seen that in Ireland.
But most of them, as it turns out, were married.
Already had one.
Yes, already had one. They were looking for another relationship.
A second relationship.
Exactly.
No, but actually, nearly everyone here, like, not nearly everyone. I saw so many profiles over here where they said, I'm married. Like, I'm married and looking for, you know... I can't remember how they phrased it. I'm married and in an open relationship.
I mean, I don't mean to be rude, right? Like, I mean, each to their own, each to his or her own, like quite genuinely. But I would never have accused Fort Wayne of being this hot spot of like bigamy or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Have you frozen again? Oh, no. You're just staying very, very still. Yeah, so basically, I don't really know. Like, that's just my... initial impression.
I'll tell you. Okay, here's my other thought.
Okay,
here's my thought. Having not dated any Irish men, but having been in Ireland for many, many years, but not dating Irish men, I think that in America they very much go on dates with you. They're like, let's meet for 6, and they want to, and it's without alcohol in hand. Let's meet at 6:00 for dinner. Or let's meet for a coffee on Saturday morning. Let's go for a walk and go to the museum. And that would be the first time you go out with them. Versus, oh, we met in the pub, we met in the bar, we met through friends. I mean, obviously you meet through friends. That's how I met Don. But like there's a structure to the first time they go out with you. Like it's much more formal. And also men expect to pay for everything, which I personally don't like. And I don't think is fair personally. But they are not surprised by being expected to pay for everything on multiple dates. So, and women are very clear on their expecting to be paid for.
Paid for, yeah.
Yes.
Which I couldn't get over. Like, I really couldn't get over that with the married guy because I was like, how does your wife feel about you like going on dates and spending like $60 on this date with this random woman?
And what do you
Anyway.
say?
I don't think I asked that.
Oh, you thought about it afterwards.
Yeah, probably.
Well, you tried
At
to
the time I was
convince
just like,
yourself.
this is a delicious drink.
Yeah, and you were also like, I can't wait to meet this guy again. This could be something. This could be the start of something. Okay, what's the next question?
Kisa.Lely wants to know, why on earth was Beatrice's sandwich tuna and tapenade? I need more information. Bread type, tuna type, etc.
Tuna type, fish, bread type, baguette.
Okay, but was it tinned tuna or was it like fresh tuna?
I mean, I presume it was tin tuna. I don't know. They made it from behind the bar. It was like in a small little Italian restaurant, like sandwich shop. Can't even talk.
Cafe.
this is like me with the kids. Nash, Bo, Chance, fuck, whatever your name is. Stop doing that. Literally the other day I said that in the supermarket and I know somebody was like, this is terrible parenting.
Okay, so it was a baguette?
Yes, it was a small baguette, you know.
Crusty? Like crunchy?
Crusty, very crusty. Yeah, delicious, right?
Delicious.
Then smeared with tapenade on the bottom.
Right.
Lots of black tapenade, probably on the top as well. And tuna then in it. There was something else though that I can't remember what it was, which is why I can't
Crunchy
remake
lettuce?
You know what? Maybe it was lettuce. I'm now having a flashback to something green in the middle of it. Yes, lettuce. And then the top of the baguette was delicious. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm obviously not selling this, but it was heaven. Like, I ate it on a daily basis for 3 years. That's why I look so healthy now. La Beatrice.
Isabel Boothman would like to know, what do you find the most different about living in the US versus Ireland? Nobody walks anywhere.
That's in Fort Wayne.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I've never lived anywhere. Okay, but
yeah.
I've never lived anywhere else in the US, so I have to only go on living in Fort Wayne.
That's true. But
So
I was more just giving the caveat of like, that's not Americans in general. That's because of where we live.
Well, it was kind of the same in Dallas, wasn't it? So it's like in bigger cities like New York and LA and stuff, it seems like people walk, but then in more central, like Midwestern or Southern places, it seems like, well, like Fort Wayne doesn't really have a town, as in you wouldn't be going, oh, I'm just going to go into town on Saturday and like have a wander around. It has a few blocks where there are a few little shops and cafes now, and it's trying to kind of regenerate downtown, but that's not really a thing in the same way that it is in Europe. Even where you could go, like, even if you're in Clonakilty, like the smallest village in Cork, not the smallest village in Cork, but a small village in Cork, you can go, I'm going to go park downtown and walk around. You know what I mean? Whereas that wouldn't really be the case here. So I do miss like we live basically probably a 10-minute walk from Walmart, right? Which would be our nearest shop, but you can't walk to it because there's no path. So if you try and cross, there's no pedestrian crossing. You'd have to basically run across the traffic.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, like, obviously there are traffic lights, so you could try and figure it out and go, okay, this line of traffic is stopping, but then the right-hand lane is still turning. You know what I mean? So it just would be dangerous. Like, there's no pedestrian crossing. So stuff like that's kind of annoying, where it's like, occasionally I'd like to walk to Starbucks, which I could walk to, take me 15 minutes, but I can't walk to because there are no paths. So that kind of thing I find weird. Most different. Like, just, I think, there's no such thing, and this is more a cultural thing, there's no such thing as a throwaway comment. I mean, Brandon's getting more used to me now, right? But like when we first started going out and I'd go, oh my God, like I don't like the look of him. And he'd go, really? Why not? Like, or like, he's actually a really good guy. And I'd be like, oh, I'm not being serious. Like, I don't know that person. I'm literally just going like, I don't like his hoodie. You know what I mean? As in, or like you'd make a joke and you'd go like, oh God, like people who order decaf in Starbucks should be like banned. And he'd be like, that's a bit extreme. Like, oh, I'm joking. You know what I mean? Like, you can't kind of make like a little negative comment about someone and just have it be okay, like whatever.
I do think there is definitely an earnestness. Well, I'll go like, oh, you're a woman, the state. Well, first of all, I go, state your woman. Who's my woman? She's not my woman. Oh, yeah. I go, no, like it's an expression. Your woman. I don't know that woman. She's not my woman. I go, okay, forget it. That woman over there. Do you know her? No. Why are you calling her your woman? I'm like, oh my God, I can't. So there is definitely a lot of that, right? Yeah. I think the food is ridiculously sweet. I still just want some like salty, honest to God, let me taste the ingredients of this food and not have everything feel like a sponge in my mouth with full of sugar, right? Not delicious. That's the bread. But I'll tell you, like, it wasn't so much about, I was actually thinking about this last night. It's funny. It wasn't so much about Ireland to America. It was when I moved from Milan and Paris then to America. I hadn't realized how much I enjoyed, like, even though I could speak Italian pretty well and French, like, fine, relatively well, I hadn't realized how much of the time, like, if I wasn't concentrating on listening to people, I wasn't listening. I was just, like, the background noise was just like, you know, white noise.
Oh, you
people
could tune
talking.
out, like.
Yeah, people talking was just white noise. When I moved to New York, I was so stressed by the noise, like, because I could understand everybody. It was suddenly like what it must be like suddenly having your hearing aid like turned up to 20.
Just like that episode of Buffy where she can hear people's thoughts.
Oh, right. Well, that's what it felt like.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. I was going crazy. It was hideous. And I felt so paranoid as well, talking about anything to Julie, because up until then, we'd been super happy, like, on the subway. Nobody could understand us. We'd be like, stay to your man. You know? And unlike the Americans, Julie'd go, I know. Right? She wouldn't be like, who's your man? My man, not your man. Yeah. Anyway, so that was like really horrifying to me. But also think about the fact it wasn't like I moved to Ireland from, you know, a country where I had been listening to white noise. It was I moved to America, which is already considered, even in the land of English speakers, to be a very loud country, you know, in terms of like, there is a confidence and, you know, everybody talks very openly and confidently. You know, there's no kind of like, I might be overheard.
This is one of the things that I remember, I think maybe one of the first times I went into a coffee shop with Brandon, and the guy behind the counter said to him something like, how are you doing today? And he goes, I'm doing well. I'd be doing better if it was a bit sunnier or something. And I was literally like, everybody can hear you. What are you doing? Like, and it's like I'll happily talk to people in a cafe, but I'm speaking like forward to them at a normal volume. He was literally bellowing. I was like, what are you doing?
Well, have you met my kids?
Echoing off the walls.
Have you met my kids? Like, they're proper Americans. And in terms of like, Bo is constantly just yelling at me. Yesterday he came up, sat on my knee, put his face up against me and then screamed in my ear, can I have a sandwich? I actually was almost deafened. I mean, he thought he was talking. This was his regular volume. I literally had tinnitus for a good 15 minutes, which was very convenient because then Don had to make the sandwich.
Sorry, what was having tinnitus got to do with you making the sandwich?
I was shocked. I was still reeling with just the pain in my ear.
You couldn't hear the butter spreading on the bread properly?
I couldn't. My eyes started twitching as well. I had to lay down with the cold compress on my head. Anyway, so the noise was one thing, but I'll tell you, the other thing is just the smiling. Honestly, the smiling. It's still a thing. When I joined, when I started at DVF, we had an orientation. I think I already mentioned this on one episode. And Julie and I were asked, it's also like the ability to public speak. And, you know, maybe things have changed. I don't think they've changed that much. But like Americans are very confident. They're very able to present themselves and articulate their own thoughts in a very articulated
concisely,
fashion.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And like very, very impressively as well.
Yes, and very confidently. Like, even if what they're actually saying is like, I did absolutely nothing and I failed everything I've ever done. They're like, I have managed to complete a failure of, you know, everything and blah, blah. You're like, oh my God, that's so impressive. And then I just start to pick it apart. You're like, oh, is that what this means?
Wait, no, anyway, it's not.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, we had our first day and we were introduced. They're like, please, could you stand up and as a circle, you know, introduce yourself and talk about your background. We're like, just came from Milan, Paris. Went to Galliano. We kind of sewed some stuff. We made some bags. I was so embarrassed. And then I remember this one stood up. She's like, I research buttons. I am a button researcher and I find all kinds of trims. And if you like this button, then I'll find it for you in bone or in plastic or in, acrylic. And I do all this research on these buttons and these trims and I find them in different sizes and I this and I that. And I was like, and she talked for honestly an hour about buttons, right? And then we went home and I said, Julie, I think we did that wrong, right? I don't think we came across as very impressive. But there's still that I'm still not good at that. You know, even the other day in the office, my boss jokingly said, So anyway, we went home that day. And I was like, what is wrong with my mouth? It's killing me. I was like, my face is killing me. And I realized I had been smiling. I had been smiling so hard that my mouth was in agony. I still get pains in the back of my head sometimes when I smile too much. Anyway, then we did this media training recently. Now, this is fast forward 12 years. And the media trainer woman says to me, she goes, she videoed me, she recorded me, and she answered me questions. She talked to me, and I was smiling. I'm telling you, lads, I was smiling. And at the end, she goes, okay, well, you did well. I recommend, though, like, try and smile. And I said, I was smiling. And she goes, you weren't smiling. And I was like, I was smiling. She goes, show me a smile. So I'm there, I'm smiling at her, and she's like, I don't see any smiles. I was literally smiling at her. I just wasn't
she wants to see all of your teeth.
Yeah, I just
basically.
wasn't beaming in a kind of like teeth gnashing, chomping way. Yeah, exactly like that. And I just can't do it. I can't. And then the other day, my boss goes to me. Yeah, the other day I said something like, I'm very excited about this. And my boss goes, well, it must be extremely exciting because from a European, that's high praise indeed. I was like, yeah, that's the difference, in my opinion.
It's actually true. Americans are excited about everything.
But are they?
They're excited about nothing. Yeah, well,
are they? Or are they just saying they are? But like, are they? I think they'd leave and they'd be like, oh no, I don't really care about that. You're like, well, you just said you loved it and you're super excited. Oh yeah, but that's what you say.
Yeah, I think it's like a kind of a part of like politeness is being excited and super enthusiastic about everything in a way that like we don't have that. We don't feel like we need to feign that.
But even that expression, I'm so excited. Like people will say in my office, they'll go, I'm so excited about this new bag. I'm so excited to show you this new bag. It's just a kind of a weird like expression that I don't think.
So like you're using that word wrong. I wouldn't use it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd be like, I'm so excited. Actually, I'm like, I'm never excited. I'm like, when would I ever use that?
You're excited. You're having a baby.
Oh, I'm excited for this baby to be out. Yeah. Okay. Here's a question from Donna Toher. Now, I suspect this might be your fake Insta, your Finsta account, because it says, which one of ye got more points in the Leaving Cert?
Why does Donna want to know that? Maybe it's more supposed to be. Maybe it's more like depending on who got most. Are they successful or not? Will I consider them to be successful or not? Who got more points, but who had more friends?
Oh my God, that's irrelevant.
I had both.
You starred in the School Musical. You did not have more friends than me.
No, dead right, I didn't.
You got 5 more points than I did in the Leaving Cert.
Is that all, really?
Yes, Beatrice, a practically negligible number of points.
That is negligible. Are you sure about that? I'm going to ask Mum and Dad.
I'm absolutely positive. I can tell you the exact numbers.
Who, by the way, go on, tell us the exact numbers. I'll see if you're right.
I think it's uncouth to talk about your Leaving Cert points in specifics, actually. I think it's like talking about your calorie count.
Well,
it's triggering for some people.
More because mine weren't as high as I wanted them to be, because I totally checked out after transition year.
Okay, sorry. You got 535 points. You got a huge number of points. Is that all? The max is 600, Beatrice.
I know, Rosemary, but like that means
the average is probably 420.
As Dad would say, there was another 65 there, like that I didn't get, because he was very hard on me, Rosemary. It was like growing up in Oliver Twist, except I was slightly chubbier. I was like, can I have some more? I said, can I have some more? And they're like, yeah, absolutely.
I remember the number of times in 6th year, actually, the dad took me aside and was like, before you know it, this year is going to be over and you're really going to regret not putting more effort in and blah, blah. And do you remember I think I've talked about this in the podcast before because I clearly hold a grudge, but my biology teacher basically recommended that I drop down to pass.
Yeah, you've mentioned this.
Many times. And I ended up getting a B1. Anyway, you got 535 points and I got 530. And in that 5-point difference, look at you now. Successful, living in a beautiful house, 4 children, incredibly high-powered job. If I had only got 5 more points, I could be a high-powered executive too. But I didn't put in the effort when I was 17.
You absolutely could not. I hate to break it to you.
Oh, no.
I was thinking about you the other day. I was going, no, you literally have never gone to a job that a week later you weren't like, I think I've made a mistake. I shouldn't be here.
You know what? I loved working in the Irish Times. And that was the only job that I really, that I never dreaded going into, if you know what I mean.
At the beginning.
At the beginning. Yeah. I mean, I think...
Yes. When your reporting changed, then it started to go downhill.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Dad says he thought I got 565. They're going to check.
You fucking didn't. You got 535 and I got 530.
We'll just leave it here we'll leave it here like vaguely. I'll never report back with the actual number. I may have gotten somewhere between 535 and 565. Listen, I'd also like to say, wait, hold on. We also got an update on the eggs.
I was going to say, while you're giving this update, why don't you tell us about
also got an update on the eggs. I said, how many Easter eggs did Rosemary used to get? She's claiming 1. Then because they were ignoring me, I said, hello, very, very maturely. Dad goes, she got 9 and you got 11. And I've got the photos to prove it. I don't believe this for a second. Anyway, Rosemary, 9 eggs on Easter Sunday. were shoved down your throat.
No way. Do you remember we used to, though, get Terry's chocolate orange eggs? Like, not just the oranges, but the actual eggs. And they'd come with, like, Terry's chocolate orange segments. But the whole egg would be made of Terry's chocolate orange.
Delicious. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get them anymore.
Why did you eat them all? You got 9 of them.
Okay, we're going to have to speed this up because we've loads left to go. And
we can do a second episode. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do the last few here. S. O'Con 12 wants to know, travel, 3 destinations each on your wish list for after COVID.
Hawaii with Don for my honeymoon. That hasn't happened 10 years later. We were 10 years married in September. Hawaii. What about you?
I mean, it's really cheesy. Like, the first place I'm going when I can go somewhere is Ireland.
Oh God, I was thinking I should have said that.
I'm going to Ireland, I'm going to Bread 41 and I'm getting some cruffins. I don't care who I see, right? If I see no one, go to Bread 41 getting some cruffins. Then I'm going to...
What the hell is a cruffin? What's a cruffin?
It's a cross between a croissant and a muffin, Beatrice. You haven't lived. A cruffin. It's like a croissant in the shape of a muffin. Sometimes it has a filling. Sometimes it's delicious.
Okay,
then
I'll know it's delicious if does mom like these things?
Mom, I gave her one once and she said it was very tasty. She thought the filling was too rich and it was too big for one person, which she's incorrect on that front. I'd also like a cinnamon scroll from Bread 41. Then I'd like to go to Scale Bakery and get some sourdough bread. Then I'd like to go to Two Pups, and maybe I'd start at Two Pups and have my breakfast there and I could get their granola with the salted caramel sauce. Wait. And then for my second breakfast, I would go to Gertrude on Pier Street and get the spicy chicken and waffles.
Rosemary,
then I take a little break.
Rosemary, you're now married. It's going to be 2 of you and a buggy. Do all of these places take a buggy? And you're going to be stopping every now and then for some potential breastfeeding. Maybe.
Oh, no, I'm going home on my own. Oh. I don't want to bring Brandon or the baby.
Oh, wait, maybe you can go home. Maybe you can go before, whenever the baby's due, before October.
No, I don't think I would because of COVID. Like, even if I'm vaccinated, I think it's too much of a risk.
Okay, well, back to me. So I'd like to go to Ireland, but I don't care about food. I just want to go and see people and the culture.
Yeah, I don't care about people at all.
I want to see my mom and dad. I want to see my Aunt Al and Elizabeth. I want to see all my cousins. I want to see my friend
Aunt
Linda.
Al and Elizabeth.
That's right. My 2-pronged aunt. I want to see my cousins. I want to see my friend Linda, with whom I lived in Thomastown, Kilkenny. I want to go up and down to Dingle with Don.
You want to see your friend Julie?
Oh yeah, Julie, of course, me Julie. I was planning on her coming to Dingle with us.
God, you're very sociable and
her
adventurous.
And her family,
I'd happily. You know what? I'd love to go to Legging Castle Farmhouse in Kilkenny on my own for 2 nights while I'm home.
Is there delicious food there? Surprise me.
Yes.
I'd like to go to Kilkenny as well, and I'd love to bring Don to Cork. So gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I'd like
to
to
do.
do.
Belfast, actually.
Okay,
so
that's
sorry,
3 places.
3
that's 3
destinations.
You just did 3. You did. Oh no, you did 2. You did Dublin,
I just did
Belfast.
Ireland.
You did Belfast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, no, fine. You did one.
Yeah, I did one Ireland. I want to go to Mexico on our honeymoon, although Brandon claims that he wouldn't know what to do with a holiday where, like, you just relax because he's never gone on a holiday before, basically.
Does he read?
Yeah.
Well, then he could read some books.
But, like, he reads for 10 minutes and he falls asleep.
Grand, have a snooze.
You could just sleep, catch up on sleep.
Probably tired. Catch up on the last 25 years.
So I'd like to go to Mexico, and then I would also like... Oh, no, listen. Beatrice, number 1 on my travel destination, British Columbia, to get my eyebrows done.
Oh my God, that's on mine too.
Shasico. Going up to get Shaughnessy to do our eyebrows.
Well, are we not doing that before you have the baby? Is that too dangerous? Could we drive? Are we going to do that together before we have the baby so that... Before we have the baby.
So there are several things. You're not really supposed to get microblading while you're pregnant, just in case of the risk of like blood issues with the needles.
But this time, Rosemary, similar to how you sacrificed yourself at the hands of that terrible massageist, facialist in Paris, I will go under the microblading. And if I look amazing, then I'm quite happy to get back in the car with you and come back with you another time.
It's a 36-hour drive, so I don't really know if we could
36 hours?
I know. I think we'd have to fly.
Are you having a laugh? Of course we're flying. Wait, there might be a train.
So I got an wait till after the baby.
I got an amazing train from Montreal to New York once, and it was so beautiful. It hugged the coast, and it was amazing. We could because Americans hate trains.
Hugged the coast.
It hugged the coastline. You're such a dickhead.
Okay. Emma Kate Manley, designer Emma Kate Manley, wants to know.
Oh, hi.
When are you getting your mom, dad, and Julie on the pod?
When we're back in Ireland, we said we have to all be in the same room to do it, right? Isn't that what we decided?
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, it'd be too much of an... I can't hear you. Beatrice,
oh my God.
Can you hear her? Philip?
I can't believe she asked that question. I'm
No,
leaving.
Wait. Can Rosemary hear me? When we can be back in Ireland, or when at least when we're together, we could do a podcast with Julie, who'd be less annoying. No offense.
We could
to Mum
do
and Dad.
Julie and Claire. We could do our friends growing up, because Julie and Claire know each other as well from
Oh yeah,
from New
good
York.
point. But also, I think when we set up our Patreon, we're going to start doing a few special guest episodes for subscribers only. So get your wallets out, girls.
I'd like to ask Kate a question. When are you publishing your cookbook? Because all of these extremely healthy looking things seem just too much for me to follow on Instagram, but I would like to make most of them.
So would you actually just like her to send you some detailed recipes via email?
No, I think she could do a good cookbook.
Okay, good. Shazne71, I suspect not the Shazne from All Saints, but I could be wrong,
God,
wants to know, so would I. How does Beatrice manage work and kids?
She doesn't. That's because Dawn does. Dawn manages the kids.
And you manage the work?
I manage the work. That's right. I know. I mean, Dawn does all the work with the. I mean, honestly, that's how. When Nash was born, we both worked full time, and it was just impossible because we both worked crazy hours. And then Dawn decided that he would stay home because we were only planning on having 2 kids, and then we now have 4 kids, and Dawn is still at home. But he is only yesterday we were talking about how much he's looking forward to September, when 3 of them will be in school until 3:00 or 3:30, and then it'll just be him and the baby.
Speaking of which, poor Chance, will he be 5 next month?
Yeah, this month.
Oh my God.
In 14 days,
yeah.
yes, he keeps telling me.
Oh God, I'll have to finish knitting my Yoshis. Poor Chance. I said to him, you'll be in kindergarten in September, and he was like, not for ages. And I was like, yeah, in September, in a few months. And I said to Bo, tell Chance what kindergarten's going to be like. And Bo goes, well, you will not be able to come out of the bathroom and ask if you've wiped yourself properly. And I was like, Bo, tell him nice things. And then Don goes, what do you remember about your time with Mrs. Espinosa? And Bo just sat there like blankly going, dunno.
God, he was obsessed with that teacher. He had such a mad
He
crush on
loved
her.
her so much,
Loved her, yeah. He kept accosting all
lovely.
blonde women in every car park ever. He would scream, Mrs. Espinosa!
That was because of the one time that you guys were in Hoppy Gnome and you saw her, and then he was like, she's out in the wild. He was like, she's out here.
No, poor Mrs. Espinosa. No, sorry. The one time in Hoppy Gnome, the one time in the Emporium, the one time, like everywhere we were, she was. It was like a joke. I felt so bad for her. And then he kept trying to go and sit at her table with her. Yeah.
Okay, last question from Linners McD. Says, why Indiana? With 3 question marks and then sorry.
Great question. I think really only you can answer this, because mine was only because this is where my job brought me.
And mine is because this is where your job brought you.
You're right. I came for work. Don, as we crossed the Indiana border, started to hyperventilate. We can't do this. We must go back. But at that point, we'd sold our house and packed everything up. And we were actually driving to Fort Wayne from Dallas. Yeah. To the new house that we had, what we had purchased, as they say. So that was why, for work. And Rosemary, for love.
No.
Rosemary,
for love.
For love.
For love, but for love of you.
Rosemary, for love. Why are you here permanently? For love.
Oh,
give Brandon some credit. Don't you crave him? Don't you crave him on a daily basis like Jessica Simpson?
Jessica Simpson craves her husband.
And her new perfume.
I do not.
Don't you just sit around and think to yourself, Brandon, where is Brandon when he's at work? I crave his presence.
Sometimes I crave him to come home and take the dog off my hands.
That's very unromantic for somebody who's only been married for about a wet week. Could you put some romance into this? Aren't you thinking
a month today?
Oh, a month. Aren't you thinking I need to get off the phone so I can go into the man I crave and celebrate our month anniversary?
No, he's at work.
What day is it?
Monday, Beatrice.
Oh, how could he go to work on your month anniversary?
I know, I'm going to text him in 2 minutes and ask him that. Thank you so much to everyone who asked us a question. We will do a part 2 because obviously the questions that I was like, this is going to take us 2 seconds to get through each question, did not.
Will you text him and say, are you coming home early? I'm craving you. Will you? What would he say?
If you have any questions for us, you can email us, notwithoutmysis@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at notwithoutmysister, or individually at Rosemary McCabe and at Beatrice McCabe. Oh yeah, if you listen on Apple Podcasts or an Apple device, or if you have an Apple device, a MacBook, an iPad, an iPhone, this is not an ad for Apple, but if you have an Apple device, you can go on to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate that, and that's the way that it helps us to basically get seen by other people who have not been recommended Not Without My Sister by their friends. Poor, unlucky, sad people.
Oh,
they just don't know the joy that this podcast could be bringing to their lives yet.
People who could be happy.
People who could be happy.
Oh,
they will be,
nice.
hopefully.
The gift of future happiness.
The gift of our gab. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on Friday for a mini-sode.
Thanks.
Bye. What are you laughing at? Yourself?
What was that? Thanks. Did you
My
hear
thanks
it?
or your thanks?
My thanks. I was getting ready to see if I was going to say thanks or goodbye, and I went, thanks.
Not Without My Sister is produced by Liam Garrity, sound and original music by Don Kirkland, and our original illustration is by Lindsay Nielsen.
Not Without My Sister is a member of The Warren.
As is our podcast, The Critter Shed.
For more great podcasts, hop along to thewarren.ie.